Good evening, everyone. Happy Thursday. Welcome to the stream. It's almost Preakness weekend. We have the Black Eyed Susan coming up on Friday. All sorts of good racing action this weekend. I am Mark, and happy to have everybody be here. I'm not as good as these long-winded intros as Josh is. So Josh, why don't you help me out with a good long-winded intro?
Man, it's been a while, huh?
It's been a while.
How long has it been since I've been on stream? 2-3 weeks?
2 weeks? 2-3 weeks, something like that.
Yeah. So I know I was out. Well, no, I made it back for my work conference, but yeah, unfortunately, for those who don't know, my father passed away last Friday. So I was at the hospital Thursday night, and then I've basically just been non-existent this week, which has just been like, I don't know, man. It's been something. It's been really surreal. For those of you who don't know, I am Mexican. I may not look it, which means I have a humongous family. And the amount of times that I was told, do you know who I am? Or do you remember me? Or I remember you when this tall or whatever, right? It was just insane. And I felt kind of bad because by the end of it, this one lady comes up to me, and this is like right before we're about to leave this luncheon, and she goes, "Oh, do you know who I am?" And I was like, "I have absolutely no clue who you are." Like, I just told it to her straight. I was like, "No, I have no clue." I had been lying to people the whole time. I was like, "No, I have no idea." And she got really insulted and just like left. And I was like, "Oh, yeah, it's time for me to leave." So came home, took a nap, and I am here. Unfortunately for my father, he was bookended by to start a $12,000 pick four or pick five that I hit at Belmont, which was the start of that week, and then got home from the funeral, and I just cashed a nice little $700 pick three. So I'm gonna give my dad half credit on that one, and why don't we bring in Mr. Spaceship over there? It's just traveling through space and time.
Space and time. I mean, I love this background. This background makes me so happy.
Well, I can't go full Ellis with a normal background. So I figure if I go with the Ellis hat, I could go with, the stoner background. And, if anybody's, over the age of 35, I might be listening to some Eiffel 65 over here because I'm blue, baba dee bop da. You remember that song? Anybody? Oh, yeah. Okay, never mind. I'm old.
I normally get the retro references, and you got me on that one, Bri. I have no clue what you're talking about.
And hold on. I might be messing up. Yeah, Eiffel 65. You're totally going to have to Google it later. Eiffel 65 blue.
Okay, so Andy actually came up with what your background is, and it's a 5th grade class photo background. That is clearly what it is, and Andy wins. Just Andy wins.
We're not even Olin Mills. We're at the Walmart photography studio, and this is what you get. I'm wearing my best shirt, my best hat, and no pants because nobody can see it anyway.
Nice.
Wait, I got to stand up for a minute.
So speaking of wearing no pants, hey Caleb, how's it going, buddy?
I've never worn pants on the stream.
I don't think you own pants.
He does own pants. I've seen him in pants.
I do own pants. But yeah, I got the reference, Brian. I was like singing along with you, but I was backstage, so they couldn't hear me. But yeah, I'm blue, man. That used to be a jam back in the day. I'm the youngest one here, so I don't know how I know that and they don't.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know how Mark doesn't know that. I could see Marcus from Glow Sticks just getting down with some blue.
Dude, I think that was a banger on Now That's What I Call Music, 12 or 13 or one of those albums.
Dude, that might have been single digits now. It might have been. What are they on now? Now 175?
Dude, it's got to be, right? Something like that.
And you could have bought that song through Columbia House. That's how old it is.
But yeah, I'm good. Just Looking forward to the weekend, I guess. Although I'm not excited about this card at all, to be honest. But it's fine.
I really wanted to ask Caleb, what are your real thoughts on this? Because backstage we heard some of them. I figured we'd get the full Caleb experience.
Damn, Jay just fired shots. Highlight that shit.
Honestly, though, he's not wrong lately. Shoot, but yeah, man, it's I'm not excited for the Preakness. And it has nothing to do with Rich Strike. I'm not excited for Pimlico. The undercard looks pretty lousy. I think I'd rather bet Lone Star.
Good,
dude. I'm in for a Lone Star stream. I'm in for Lone Star. I'm in for Canterbury. They got the 12% or 10% pick 4 now. The opening day, I know it paid like, or no, it was like to the favorite. It was like paying like $8 or something. But I think a long shot ended up winning, so I paid a little bit more. But
so you're able to buy a whole pack of Newports, not just one.
Yeah, not just one cigarette, not just a Lucy. But yeah, no, you know, it's actually been kind of refreshing to see some of these night tracks, like Lone Star. I know Lone Star's, I think their pick 5 is 12% now. You know, kind of following in the footsteps of the Sam Houston, which is everything is 12%, all the horizontals. Canterbury's got the 10% pick 4, and I think their pick 5 is either 10 or 12%. So it's kind of nice to do that. And like honestly, I don't know. I feel like sometimes those smaller tracks, like you can't put as much money into the pool. I don't feel like you can't slam like a $5 or $10 pick 4, pick 5, and get the same kind of result you would at a bigger track. But I feel like there's always like, if you're just like kind of want to fire away, want to get a little action. I mean, there's still money to be made in some of those night tracks, especially with the low takeouts.
Yeah, I would say Canterbury for one. I know. I mean, they do have some, especially when they're getting to turf racing, they have some bigger fields, and that's definitely a place that you probably can't fire those big leveraged plays, but you can definitely find prices there. That's a track where I know all last year you're going to be able to get to prices, and those will definitely pay well. So no, I completely agree with you.
If you don't mind for a second, because it's 11 days, maybe 12 days. Oh, Canada, our home and native land.
Can you mute him?
Aspinobia
Oh wait, I can mute him. Assiniboia. I cannot believe.
Assiniboia.
Yes.
Man.
They extended their meet this year. I mean, some Saskatchewan breads at night. I mean, what more do you want in life? Come on now.
Crazy Hour. You guys completely forgetting about Crazy Hour?
Crazy Hour, the best graphics package in the history of horse racing. I mean, it's all there.
It's the whole package.
Kind of getting back on track, and I'll leave this to you guys who followed horse racing a little bit more closely for longer than I have. But has Preakness always just been like the chalky brother to the Kentucky Derby Day and Belmont Day? Like I feel like the first year that I played the horses, I hit the pick 6 at Pimlico, and I think it paid like $48. It was a 20-cent bet.
Hold on. Did that horse win?
No, it was Justify.
Oh, Justify.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah,
I'm going back too far. Okay.
And I remember I hit it on like a $12 ticket, so like I was okay because I'm like, well, shit, like at least like I got 4x back or something, right? But it was like something like the last couple legs were I forgot who was the third to last leg, but it was a single, and then I think it was like Axeman who was somewhere in there, and he was just like laid over the field completely. And then it was Justify who, went off super short. So it was something like, I was like something like 2 by 2 by 2 by 1 by 1 by 1 or something.
What's the Preakness card and the Black Eyed Susan card have been very interesting to watch over the past, let's say 10 or 15 years, because 10 or 15 years ago, first thing, all the undercard stakes on Preakness Day that are now black types were all graded stakes. So they've all lost their graded listings. Purses basically haven't gone up at the track, so they just don't draw the quality and caliber of horses that they used to. And, field sizes have dwindled because of it, and people are pointing to other races. So, I think Pimlico has very much done this to themselves, deciding they'd rather throw a rave in the infield than they would actually put on a decent horse racing product. And see, Brian's even got the background. And I mean, you can go see Marshmallow, man. You can go see Marshmallow. I mean, and the other thing is the entire infield has no idea that there's horse races going on around them. It's, they're just too busy racing on porta potties. But they've done this to themselves, and they've diluted their product, and you end up with what you have now, which is kind of meh. And I mean, obviously we're going to talk it, but still kind of meh.
What are you going to do? Go back to 2009 for Rachel? Was Rachel the last exciting one, honestly?
Shackelford was pretty killer. I love the Shackelford year.
Bernardini in 2006 was kind of neat, you know what I mean? But, you don't get that hype. Right? When you got the Triple Crown on the line, people pretend to care. But if you talk about like exciting efforts that would have like bring new people in, I think the Rachel story was great. I mean, Mind the Bird was that huge price, and then she dominated that race.
But they had every race, or they had every opportunity to do it this year as well. You have Secret Oath in there. They could have, amped the hell out of her. But the problem is the Preakness itself is a pretty okay race, but all of the lead up, and it's one of my notes, and we'll get there eventually. But whoever carded Saturday's sequence should be taken out back and beaten. That's the dumbest carded sequence. You could have had an all graded stakes pick 5, but you instead choose to move graded stakes that are actually a couple of them are somewhat interesting earlier on the card, so you can have black types as your lead ups that aren't super competitive races. It's just a terribly carded sequence. It's just somebody was a moron. But speaking of,
you started the stream off by saying you can't do a long, rambling effect, and you just nailed it.
Did I? Am I getting better at this?
You totally are.
Actually, let me zoom in so people can actually see this. Apologies for not doing this before we got going. But yeah, we'll give Josh a minute. He'll get back here eventually. But sup, Tommy, first off. Yeah, we're going to start off on Friday, tomorrow, with the talk a little black-eyed Susan, race that I think used to be a G1 and now is a G2, and after this year's showing might no longer be a G2. I sort of took a look at this, and I don't know, let's start off with Caleb. Caleb, what was your thoughts here as far as pace considerations are concerned? I was sort of having a hard time figuring out who ended up on the lead here and sort of who presses this pace, considering a bunch of this field is maiden winners last out.
Yeah, to me, I think the pace in this race looks like it sets up to be pretty swift. I think there's pretty little doubt as far as what Dar Manor is going to do, the morning line favorite. The ex Spafford, Yakteen, now McCarthy horse, was basically only ever one on the lead. Is going to be on or just off the pace. But I do think there's a couple other horses that want to be in that same spot. I think the number 2, Missy Greer, is a horse that with the inside draw, and Luis Saez has pretty much has to get sent pretty aggressively to try to give his mount a chance. And I think there's a couple other horses in here too. Maybe a horse like Midnight Stroll, the 4 horse, would be forwardly placed. I mean, the number 5, Beguine, I think, is a horse that definitely possesses a lot of early speed. And there's even a handful of other kind of tweener type horses like Interstate Daydream and a few others that have passed a couple other horses, but they really like to be within a length or length and a half of the lead. So I definitely think it's going to be a pretty swift pace up front.
Brian, I know you were trying to say something. I cut you off. So,
we're going to talk about this being a non-graded stakes because the field isn't that exciting. This field drew 5 more horses than the Preakness did. I just want to throw that out for sake of conversation.
It is a G2, right? It is a graded stakes, but yeah, I think my thing was there's a lot of horses who I would have loved to see here that are going to skip and go other places because they can get paid a whole lot more money to win other races. So, I think this race has somewhat lost a bunch of, luster not having some of those big names draw in here. I realize a lot of just ran 2 weeks ago and they're going to have a little longer layoff, but still, if this purse, instead of being a $50,000 race, was a let's say $750,000 race, all of a sudden you'd have a much different field complexity here, and this would be a much more interesting situation. I guess that's where I was going.
I mean, it is funny though, because you look at it and okay, Josh is back, but Dar Manor is the only graded stakes winner in the entire field of 13 horses. Pretty interesting. And there isn't a single horse coming out of the Oaks that shows up in here either. So it's definitely fair to question the quality of this race a little bit, I think.
Cool. So why not Josh is here, but I think he's munching on some food. So
no, but so I guess I kind of want to add, coming from like once again, less tenured, I guess, horse player than everyone else here. Why isn't as big of a deal made of like a Philly Triple Crown than is it just because of tradition? Like it's just not as traditional, they don't have like the Black Eyed Susan as a second leg, and I don't know, I forget what's the Philly race on Belmont card.
I mean, that's exactly why.
Exactly.
There isn't one. Because there isn't one. Okay,
yeah.
That makes. I mean, that totally makes sense. But like, because like I know like Naira's trying to do.
Is that the? No, that's the 8 Bells. Is at Churchill. One second.
Yeah. No, because I know Naira's trying to bring back or trying to do that like turf triple or whatever.
They got the turf triple and the turf TR.
Acorn.
There we go. Acorn.
Thanks,
I couldn't come
Nick.
up with it.
Yeah. So why? I guess why isn't it a thing? Is it just because the Preakness is a G2 and it's just a the purse isn't as big? Like I don't know. I guess I don't get it. I mean, it makes total sense because the Preakness is also like the redheaded stepchild of the Triple Crown, right? Like no one talks about the Preakness winner unless they're trying to sell them or trying to put them up to stud for $7,500 a pop.
I also think that there's a certain thing, and there's been a bit of a tradition that if you have a monster of a filly, you run her Kentucky Oaks and then go run on the Preakness, and that I think it's 8 horses now or 8 fillies have won the Preakness, I think, at this point. So where I think there's only ever been 3 that have won the Kentucky Derby. So it's a situation where I think you get a lot of the fillies invading the race. It's not a point system, and I think that does dilute it somewhat. But that series, that sort of Philly Triple Crown, there was a period in time that they tried to make it into a thing, but I think they've just sort of given up. And
yeah, I see Connor saying that nobody cares about Rombauer. Yeah, I mean,
I was just going to ignore that comment. So
yeah, that Rombauer messed up. I think Connor made a ton of money on Rombauer, if I remember correctly.
Good for him. Good for him then.
Yeah, this race kind of sucks. I basically, and I'll just kind of put my 2 cents in here real quick so I can finish eating. My food got here super late. Sorry, guys. But my eyes went straight to the 1, Divine Huntress in the spot. I kind of, I know when I came back in, you guys were talking about all the pace that's kind of in this race. I thought Divine Huntress might be one that might be able to sit off and kind of come late, and at the same time not be just like totally lost in the shuffle, like not coming from the clouds, but is going to be sitting, I think, mid-pack in this race. You get Mark's favorite jockey in Flavian Pratt aboard here, who is a pretty good judge of pace. I mean, much better judge of pace on turf than dirt, but and I say, and of course, as soon as I say that, the first thing that pops in my head is that deep closer he had for Brad Cox on Derby Day.
Just one time,
and he just like shoved it to the lead. So of course, I already fucking forgot about that. But I thought Divine Huntress made a little bit of sense here. I'm probably just looking at the form. She's probably way slower than everybody else in this field. So I'm guessing that Dar Manor is probably running in the 90s on the buyer scale, or close to it. And Divine Huntress's best race is like 81 or something like that. So, yeah. I mean, you would need to see a bunch of improvement, but the pace is a great equalizer, I think, sometimes when it comes to improvement. So I think that it might quite possibly set up nicely here for this one. You're going to get a good price. And worst case, I mean, you key this horse underneath in second and third for exactas and tries if you like one of the favorites. But if this tote's going to blow up, I think Divine Huntress has got a good shot at it.
So, not to beat your pickup or anything, Josh, but isn't it maybe this a little bit longer than she wants to go? It seemed like she was kind of backing up on the Gazelle, kind of backed up in the Rachel Alexandra. Obviously, that optional 50 she won was really impressive, but I don't really know who she was beating that day. Any chance that maybe she, just doesn't want to go this far?
I don't know. I mean, I think ran fine at a mile, and you really think going from a mile and 70 to a mile 16th, the horse is going to automatically just back up that much? I mean, I don't know. Looked like the horse got a little tired. Looks like the notes say bothered. I don't know. I haven't looked at the replay for that race. And yeah, I mean, looking at the Gazelle, you get a little bit of concern there, but that's also Aqueduct in April. It's a weird track. They're trying something different here. I'm like I said, I'm looking for a price in the spot because I don't want to get stuck with the Dar Manor at like 2-1 or whatever she's going to be in the spot here. So.
Okay, cool. I can see that. Brian, where did you end up here?
Just to defend Josh's horse, since Mark wants to be a jerk, the one's been wide in all 3 trips this year. Last out was bunched up and wide. So
it must look really good on the sheets for our boy Tommy there.
You could excuse the one quite a bit for the wide trip. But whatever. I don't like the one personally. If I'm gonna go anywhere, I'm probably gonna go to Luna Bell, the 6. She seems like the type of horse that could sit behind a Dar Manor and Missy Greer and probably Radio Days, depending how Joel rides at the 11. And I think the 6 could sit a really good trip. The 6 is, not really face the class level that we're going to see here, but just looking at run style could be a benefactor. I wish there was a different jockey aboard here, but how many times we talked about Laurel Shippers and the inflated figures from Laurel and whatnot. So I can't lie, 9-2 on a Laurel Shipper, and it is Pimlico though. So it's one of those things where does it really matter? This is the horse's home state, whatever you want to call it. So, maybe it's better off that they keep Dennis Arijo or Arijo aboard. Just, he's familiar with her. But, and then real quick, sorry, Mark, go ahead.
No, how about it? No, I like your pick.
I want to try and make an argument for Beguine, the 5. I feel like this horse is going to be, Oaklawn Park had a great meet. It was a very interesting meet, and this horse, won a maiden special weight, got second in the fantasy, which is a grade 3, saved all kinds of ground in that race. I mean, with Jose here, this could be a very interesting spot. I just don't know if this horse is fast enough, either early or late, to be competitive, if that makes sense. This is one of those horses that could fill in underneath, but it would not surprise me at all if this horse wins at 10-1.
Yeah, actually, Begin is my. Well, I mean, I think a Dar Manor makes a ton of sense. Caleb sort of had already mentioned the reasons a Dar Manor makes a ton of sense. Beguine, the 5, it was the other horse that I was super interested in the spot. You're getting Jose Ortiz up, on a horse that probably gets a jock upgrade here. They went right from maiden special weight, and the horse ran really respectably in the fantasy. And I thought it was a very interesting spot to see this horse at again. There's some some argument that she did get beat by Yoguri in her last out, and Yoguri faded badly in the Kentucky Oaks, but I think that comes back to probably the pace complexion you had in the Oaks, where there was a real fast, early pace, and the front end kind of came off the race. So we've kind of yet to see if McQueen can sort of pass horses. She wired her first. She did pass a couple in the lane in the fantasy, but kind of couldn't get to Yoguri. I think she's probably got to still some questions, but I would much rather take her being a horse that is somewhat tested, and we know has run versus some classier horses in that fantasy, then some of the others in here who there's a bunch of horses coming out of maiden special last out wins that are taking the real big shot. So I thought she was actually really interesting, Brian.
You can make an argument for several horses that they're going to be 5 or 6 to 1. Nick Feldman just talked about radio days, and since Caleb's not here, I'm going to chime in there. I think it's interesting on the stretch out here, with Joel and McGahee. I think McGahee, we've all pretty much agreed that he brings horses that are along pretty slow. So no surprise here, but again, how is Joel going to approach with her, right? I guess it depends what your pace scenario is. If you're thinking Missy Greer, a Dar Manor, Midnight Stroll are all forwardly placed, then I don't know where Joel does this unless he tries to sit back somewhere like around Luna Bell, Candy Light, mid pack, and try and make some kind of crazy turn move here. But I don't think the horse is fast enough. But we've seen a lot of weird things happen when horses stretch out, especially from this barn.
Yeah, I agreed. And Sugar somebody brings them along slowly, and she probably needs a bit of a step forward here. But that's definitely a horse that you could get to on a deeper ticket, and I wouldn't fault anybody from taking a shot and trying to go there. I thought the other two that I was a little interested, actually the other three were the 7, 8, 9. I think any of them make sense. Chad or Rad at 6 to 1 on a horse that, yes, is a maiden special weight winner last out, but the wasn't a bad race. The horse ran pretty darn well. Obviously, they had really high expectations to take that kind of shot. Paid $670K for this one. The horse is probably really well meant. I think the board will tell you how live this one is. I don't know if we'll get workout reports. I would love to have them here, but Chad doesn't take these kind of shots just for fun. And a horse that Brian was talking about, a bunch of mid-price horses that make a lot of sense in here. I thought the Grand Motion horse in here, Candy Light, made a ton of sense as well. For some reason, and I've never seen this out of Grand Motion. Grand Motion's always been a very low percentage barn. His barn normally is a 5, 6, 7% barn. He's sitting at 17% right now. He's 3 of 4 on the meet so far. His barn is just firing lights out. And this is one, maiden special weight. Went to that bended wire, ran okay. Yeah, it's Laurel races and everything else, but
I've got to take a call real quick. Sorry, guys. I hate to disappear.
You're fine. But again, a horse that is one of those mid-Atlantic horses, and that's where kind of Grand Motion is managing to get a stable from. And the figures on this 8 are, especially at that last race, on a horse that seems to be kind of improving, are not that much slower than the rest of the field. This one is another one that had, I thought, every sort of, opportunity to take another step forward. And the other one I thought was interesting was Interstate Daydream. She came out of that Ashland where, she might just not have loved the wetter off going. She definitely regressed off that optional 80 that was before. She's a horse that can be forwardly placed, seems to have some pretty decent tactical speed, and has passed other horses, which are 3 things that not a lot in here have done. And I thought, again, you're getting Flo Cox at 6 to 1, horse that, again, would not shock me if this one wins, catching a fast track and, just kind of, these Flo Cox horses, especially the Cox horses, obviously been running lights out as of late.
Yeah, it looks like our boy Murphy is also on Big Wine.
Big Ween, yeah.
Big Ween.
I don't know how you actually pronounce it correctly.
All I know is I could pronounce that name a million times and not mispronounce it as bad as you mispronounced Alcibiades earlier.
Did I? So, yeah,
you were not even close on the Alcibiades. I don't know what you were like, what race you were even talking about until I looked at the PP.
I took like three different parts of different names and just sort of mushed them together and hope nobody would notice.
That was not your finest work.
Would notice. No, it was not.
Any love for the local horse? The 6?
Which local horse? Yeah, I mean, Brian talked Lunabella to death. I think it was where you're eating there. Okay. I mean, the horses. Horses won 5 in a row, and you can't really fault, and done so consistently impressively. This horse just has been destroying field. Now, I don't know, is this a horse that is just beating up on really subpar company? But at least this horse is won a bunch of races, and the form cycle is, I mean, if you look at this, just consistently getting better and better and better every single race. Now you can say what you will about Laurel, figures and them not being the most trustworthy, but I like that the local jock stays aboard, the jock who's won 5 in a row on this horse, and I think the horse makes sense. And I also think let's see what the board does. I think you get a lot better than 9-2 on this horse. It wouldn't surprise me if you get 7, 8, 9-1 on this horse, just because there's enough other betting interest in here that this one could kind of get lost. And I do like the local horse a bit. I can make a case for it, albeit this one does need to take another step forward to be a major player here. But sometimes these horses that just like to win kind of figure out how to do that. Anybody else you really want to talk about in here, Josh?
I mean, honestly, like I said, my eyes kind of went to the 1. I was a little interested in the 6, just because the horse wins, and I mean, this horse is a little bit more local, but I remember, was it 2 years ago? There was a horse, Miss Marissa, who ended up winning this race. I know it was like the fucked up year where they ran in October, and Miss Marissa did win a race in Saratoga, but she had kind of bounced around in that Mid-Atlantic. I think she'd won a race at Monmouth, and then afterwards she went to like Laurel and Delaware. I think she won a Delaware handicap that next year. But kind of small time connections, local connections. I think that was Miss Marissa's Ryerson horse. So I like the local connections in this spot, mostly because I'm just not super into this 10, the Dar Manor, and I just think that this horse is gonna get out there and set a blazing pace, and there's just more pace in here. So I kind of, like I said, I want someone that's going to be sitting in that second tier mid pack and hopefully makes a nice nice closing run. So yeah, I'm basically 6-1 here.
Yeah, so I know Nick had mentioned, obviously there are a bunch of graded stakes on here. If anybody wants us to talk races, I'm fully capped out for the card. And, if you want to talk it I can really quickly hit one. I will just go to Nicholas's comment here real quick. Take a look at this last race. I don't know if anybody else had this one capped, but Bali Dove, the Wes Ward horse, I had a hard time getting past this horse. This is one, Wes is really, really good off these long layoffs. It looked like this field, if you wanted to go past the 1, you had to go pretty deep. He's throwing Johnny V up, who tends to be his go-to big day jock, and I think this horse is really, really, really well meant. So I like this one here. To break her maiden after the long layoff. So I thought she made quite a bit of sense.
How did you not land on the 7 there? Sister Tim putting
no,
up
that's
Julian.
PDT's horse. That's PDT's horse.
I guarantee PDT loves the 7.
PDT's probably gonna bet his kids' college funds on it.
I sure. I mean, I could get to the 7. I just thought if I went deeper than just the 1, I kind of needed to go with 4 or 5 different horses. So because I think if you go past the 1, the horses I thought were interesting would be the 4, the 6, the 7, and the 9. And you're talking some prices. I didn't want to, use an 8-5 as a defensive B because I get crap about that. So I just thought I would kind of single the 1 and hope I'm right.
All right, let's move on before because I'm gonna have words with Nicholas Dayton because he's missed the last 2 Thursday night League of Legends practices. So we're gonna have some words, Nick.
But did he have a good jungle call?
You're talking about EBD's dragon calls, and he's not even here to defend himself.
I mean, same thing, right? Like,
yeah, I mean, oof. We could talk League of Legends all night, Mark. I can do this all night. But
I'm sure you can. But let's hop over to Saturday. We go into the Grade 3 Maryland Sprint, and this is what I meant by this being carded in sort of a weird way. You have a couple of 2 G3s, and then an allowance, then a black type, and then a G2 and a G3, then 3 black types, and then you're into 2 G1s. It's just a bizarrely carded when you could have moved a couple of races around and had an all graded pick 5. Like it just this is somebody is a moron. When I first took a pass at this, Brian, I saw a lot of pace in here. I realized it's only 6 furlongs, and 6 furlong races don't melt. But is there any chance that there's enough pace in here to have this come apart?
I don't know yet. Go to Josh first.
Okay, Josh.
Honestly, I looked at this race, and you got a lot of horses that like to be forwardly placed, but I don't feel like you got a ton of need to lead types in this race. So, it just makes for a really murky pace scenario, right? Because you got, Joel Rosario's on a horse, right? And he's on Jackson Traveler. I believe that's what is it, the 7 in this race. And Jackson Traveler's got a little bit of speed. He might be the fastest horse early in here, but now you got to think this horse is one on the lead. This horse is one from just off. Is Rosario going full send from the outside post? Is he going to let horses go past him? This was kind of the horse I kind of keyed on, because I kind of feel like Rosario is going to let the other horses go. And if there is a pace, some kind of pace nonsense going up front, I think it's going to set up nicely for the 7. The 7 has raced 3 times at Pimlico, is won twice, and has got a second at Pimlico. So the horse obviously likes the track, and I don't know. I like when you get these really competitive fields where you got like 4 horses that kind of look the same upon first looking. Game theory for me, automatically kicks in, and I'm just like, all right, I'm gonna find one of these horses, and I'm just gonna kind of key them. And this spot, I think it's going to be the 7 Jackson Traveler. I think with the less aggressive jock is going to sit, 3rd or 4th with some of the pace there. I mean maybe Rosario sends, but like honestly, like I think this horse can win from anywhere. So I think it's going to set up nice for 7. I don't know. I really don't got much more to add. Horse for course, got a good jock that has got a good sense of pace. He'll, if it does get stupid up front, I think he'll be fine letting them go. Asmussen and sprinting. I mean, what else you got to say, right?
So, okay. Brian, what do you got
here? No, what were you gonna say? You were getting ready to dunk. Well, you hate the 7,
I was getting ready. I don't hate the 7, but I think I think it's a little suspect to say that the 7's really passed horses. Yeah, that one race at Pimlico going 6 furlongs, August of last summer. Yeah, I guess the horse did pass a horse that it was behind by a length.
Past horses at the Chickling, at Pimlico as well. Didn't win, but still.
Okay. I mean, sure it did. But, I think Jackson Traveler is a horse that probably needs the lead. And being outside drawn, probably the speed, but outside drawn, I think Rosario has to send. Like, I really think instructions here are going to be make the lead at all costs. And I don't know if somebody like, is Mr. Phil going to really press that issue on the inside?
Mr. Phil's on the 6 hole. When you say inside,
inside of the 7.
Inside of Jackson Traveler. So you're right, Brian. No, inside of Jackson Traveler. Is going to make it a little hard for Jackson Traveler. And we know Kendrick is quite the known hustle bug, and he likes to be on the lead. And Kendrick is also on another horse here that I realize has passed horses in an allowance back in June of 2021. But I think Mr. Phil is another horse that arguably might need the lead as well. So I think there's a couple in here that. And again, it's 6 furlongs. A lot of times these look like they should melt and they just don't. But I think there's quite a bit of pace in here. But, Bri?
Yeah. There's probably, I was waiting for someone to pull up. There's probably a little bit of pace there. I like the fact that Mr. Phil scratched out of the run happy. Just trainer scratch. That race was a small little race. I think this is an aggressive spot here. You mentioned Mr. Phil being a need to lead type. You look at that little claiming race, and there was, nobody really there. It was interesting. They got won by Aristocratic, who was like, and what did Mr. Phil kind of do? It was like, I don't know, man. I see what you're saying. I see. What's that?
I was just saying, do we go with the nobody's said it yet, but I'm going to say it, that Mr. Phil is a very different horse in the Rob Eltris barn than Mr. Phil was in the Jimmy Reinerson barn. And that is a common theme with one Mr. Rob Eltris. So I'll leave it there.
Kind of what I was thinking too. I mean, if you, depending what you use, Mr. Phil is really good on my circles and squares that I like. But yeah, I mean, War Toccasin, Jackson Traveler, Mr. Phil, all like that forward run style, but it's a 6 furlong sprint. It's not like they're going 9 furlong. So, chances are on big days, what happens? Speed usually carries, and Pimlico's no different there. So, I'd love to make an argument for a closer like, Sir Alfred James. I just don't think I can here. I think, the 1, 6, or 7 gets me home in this leg. And if I had to pick one, looking at the prices, I mean, you want to be a real gambler with War Toccasin, on the inside with, Dexter Haddock aboard? Probably not. So,
when was the last time War Toccasin hasn't won since April of 2021 at Parks? So
exactly.
Yeah, and you know what? And like I know you mentioned Sir Alfred James, and the thing that worries me about him is I think he's gone too long between starts to be effective. I mean, he's normally running on like 8 days rest, and he's got a whole 2 weeks this time. So I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen to the horse when he's got that long of a break.
Wait a minute. What are you talking about? 8 days. I'm confused.
Dude, look! Look at his running lines?
The horse wrestling.
He runs like every week. He's like a fucking standardbred horse over here, but he's got 2 whole weeks of rest now for this race. Are you kidding me?
See,
the horse, brand new horse.
I guess I'm confused because I'm sitting here looking at a horse that has 14 days off, who had 22 days off and then 16 days off. So I may not be seeing what you're seeing.
Well, just
what's 23 minus 16?
5. 7.
So I mean, he ran 7 days rest and a surface change. I don't know.
Where honestly, I'm not being a smartass. I'm sitting here looking at optics, and I don't see
April 16th of 2022 to the 23rd of April of 2022. That's 7 days.
Oh, wait, you know what? Hold on. Let me clear my filter. I had distance filters on. Oh, there we go. Yeah, I was just looking at 6 furlongs.
Yeah, no, the horse runs a lot.
Yeah, like I said, he's a standardbred.
That makes more sense now, Josh. Okay, yeah,
I just wanted to make that joke that he's got a whole 2 weeks off. That was really my whole point. But
Brian murdered it. Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, like
just murdered it.
I thought my delivery was just really bad, but Brian was just
your delivery was great.
Different. I don't know.
Completely got it. Brian just
when you have I had a filter on. All I saw was the 6 furlong races. So
dude, it's like social media and Tinder now, right? You gotta sometimes the filters on, and you just just don't know. Mark's been fooled by filters before. He's had some stories.
No joke, man. I have stories. Once again, proving that Nick Feldman and I are actually the same person. My top choice in here is Disco Pharaoh, the 4. I think quite a bit of pace in here. I think you're getting a horse that, Toledo has been absolutely on fire so far this meet. This is whatever.
Hold on. Another one. How many Maryland horse races do you actually watch to tell me that you?
I watched 8 of them today, and my God, it hurt me.
And you went with the whole Toledo's on fire. I'm calling bullshit.
He's 6-9 on the meet, 67%, Bri.
Yeah, on fire.
That's on fire.
You're making it sound like you watch Maryland racing.
Yeah, who told you that? Murphy tell you that? Yeah, that sounds like something Murphy would have came up with.
No, I just read this. I just read the stat off the page. But Toledo's been riding really well, and this is a horse that's the last 2 have been super, super impressive. Taking obviously a step up in class once again. And this is a very lightly raced 4-year-old. This is a horse that has improved every start, and I think there's probably more ceiling here for this son of American Pharaoh. So I thought Disco Pharaoh made quite a bit of sense here. Figures that last out figure very much fits with the some of the outside horses that I think are a little bit more need the lead in horses like Mr. Phil and Jackson Traveler. So my top choice in here is Disco Pharaoh. Caleb, any good thoughts here?
Yeah, I'm jumping in late. If you like Disco Pharaoh, then I don't like Disco Pharaoh. So, yeah, this is I don't know what people in chat have said. I haven't really watched yet, but I like Jackson Traveler here. That was kind of my pick. I had this horse that's running against a gold rail last out at Aqueduct. I thought Mr. Phil had the inside bias, which kind of carried him that day. And Jackson Traveler loves Pimlico. He's a horse for course here. He does need to get a couple more wins and a couple less second and thirds, but I had a hard time latching on to anybody in here. But Jackson Traveler to me was the horse that I would probably lean towards if I was going to bet anybody in this spot.
So I shouldn't have even come on stream. I mean, you basically just said everything I did, so I could have just hung out.
Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Who did you like in the Black Eyed Susan?
I don't really like any, but I don't like a Dar Manor. I know that much. I tried to make a case for your horse, Josh, Divine Huntress. I couldn't get there. Truthfully, I probably lean a little bit towards maybe the number 12 horse, Favor. If I had to pick one, I think that's a horse that's going to take a lot of beating at the windows. But that's probably, a horse I would pick if I had to kind of take one. But I don't have a strong opinion there. I kind of like Favor, Radio Days. Distinctly Possible made some sense, I thought. So there was I was going to be spread there.
Okay. Callywag is talking about a horse that none of us have mentioned. And because of that, we're going to now mention Full Authority. Anybody like the 5 in here at all?
I like this horse, yeah. It was my second pick after the 7.
Yeah, I think that you're getting a horse that probably sits a somewhat similar trip to the 4, being able to sit off that pace, watch what happens, and be tactical. This is a horse that has passed other horses, and seems to be figuring out some form going into the 5-year-old season. So, obviously step up in class here, but probably not connections that take a ton of money. So no, I thought the 5 Full Authority was interesting here.
Well, there's 7 horses. Now you like all 7 of them.
I mean, you've seen my tickets. Why does this surprise you? Okay. Let's head on to race 5, the Gallarat. Heading on to the turf. And who do I want to throw under the bus here? Brian.
What's up?
How does technical analysis lose this race?
Mark Capitan bets on him.
That's probably actually correct.
I mean that's it. I'm not sure what else you want me to say. In all seriousness, probably a lone speed type situation. Joel or Jose should be able to have his way. The question is Scarabia coming in on what could be considered a little bit better form, a little bit better class tests. At 6-1, 35 days off. Saya's aboard. The Jenny Wiley, that wasn't a great showing for Scarabia, but you look at how the horse ran figure wise in the G38 Gulfstream. I'm not trying to say that, and then the Orchid. The numbers come back better in those races than the Jenny Wiley did, and comes back to Jose or goes to Louise now from Julian. And you guys know how we feel about Julian on stream. So, can you move the 3 up on that alone? Sure, but who's going to challenge the 4? That's the big question. Who's going to push the 4? Who's going to make Jose, think? And I don't think anybody can.
So you're trying to make a case for the horse that's winless on turf. Got it.
Yeah. Why not?
Okay, cool.
What did you say today when somebody asked you how Pimlico played? You said pick the longest shot on the board that had no chance on paper of winning. Is that not what you said today?
This is exact. No, that's 100% what I did say today. And if you did that all day, you absolutely printed money. Yeah, that was. Yeah.
So then now you come here and you bash me for following your advice. This is horrible.
Did Greg's 1 just win at Canterbury, or was that a different race? No, I think it was a different race. I did like this one though here. I kind of approach this race the same way that you kind of posed your question, Mark. Like who beats like technical analysis in this spot? And I had like a really hard time like trying to figure out like who beats her in this spot. But then, I put myself in Caleb Knight's headspace. And I'm like, you got a Chad Brown horse that's been a short price favorite twice, or at least short price. Wasn't the favorite two back, and has not shown up lost by like 6 lengths or 5 lengths at Keeneland, then comes back and can't win a fucking turf race at Aqueduct, and lost to Plum Ali, who like hadn't won in who knows how fucking long, and you start to kind of question it a little bit. Like figure wise, the horse lays over the field. Pace wise, the horse should have a huge advantage in this spot, but taking a losing Chad Brown horse or a horse that's coming in slightly off form. I mean, maybe it was a tough break last out, but I mean, I have a hard time swallowing what's probably going to end up being 3-5, 4-5 on this horse. I mean, this horse is going to get absolutely obliterated every way to Sunday in this spot. I was kind of with Brian. My eyes kind of turned to the 3. I was interested in Scarabia a little bit. It's not so much, not so much. I guess the speed figures or anything like that. And like you said, Mark, you made a good point. Like the horse also hasn't won on turf, but you're getting a longer price. And this horse, I mean, if you look at this horse's form, you look at the horse's last couple races. I mean, any horse that shows up in that the top 3 finishers in any of those races probably is a very short price favorite in this spot. So I don't know. I know class doesn't matter, but class does matter when you're trying to beat a Chad Brown horse at what's going to be 4-5. So I thought Scarabia made some sense here. I mean, I even looked at the 6 a little bit. Karakatsi. It's a west. Went out west and tried to win a race. It's got a case of seconditis, very similar to the short price favorite, but you're getting just a humongous price on this horse. You're getting Flo, who I trust a little bit more on the turf than on the dirt. And I think this horse is going to be forwardly placed. This horse is probably going to be sitting in second, just off the Quitter 4. So I don't know. I was kind of, like I said, grasping at straws, figuring like, how am I going to ruin my pick 5 and by not including the short price Chad Brown horse and losing out on thousands of dollars. So I really put myself in Caleb Knight's headspace here. And I'm kind of against the 4. I mean, I first pass, I wrote A right next to the 4. And then I was like, I don't know. Like this horse just looks like that sucker 3-5 horse that shouldn't be 3-5, and everyone's going to have it singled. So I tried to get creative here, but I mean, by all means, I mean, the 4 looks like it should lay over this field, both pace wise and speed figure wise. So I don't know. Maybe I'm just grasping at straws. What do you think, Caleb?
I mean, I feel like I don't even need to say anything. I'm just so proud right now. I think, yeah, I mean, you covered a lot of what I wanted to say. It should surprise nobody that I'm not going to bet technical analysis. I didn't like her last race. I bet against her in there. And, she ran second in a 4-horse field at 1-2. Like, no, thank you. The horses picked them back out of that race. Flower Point and Plum Ali both ran total stinkers next time out. So it's not exactly like that was some monster field in the, I don't even know what that stands for. Panty of Grace Stakes at Aqueduct. I have no idea. But yeah, I mean, I'm not betting technical analysis here. I know she has a pace advantage. I know she has a figs advantage, Chad Brown, the whole 9 yards, but not a horse for me at 3-5, given that, her form lately has not been, as good as it would need to be for me. This is a bad field. But I do like the 6 that Josh mentioned. That's actually my top pick in here is Karakatsi. This is a horse that's actually improved in every career start, on speed figures, has taken a step forward, start after start. She had a horrible trip in the San Clemente at Del Mar. I mean, Kent did not give her a good ride. The rent wasn't due yet, I guess, or I don't know what happened, but took some time off here. This is a horse that can win first time out. I mean, she won her debut race. She fires fresh. Florent Drew, should be able to give her a decent ride, keep her somewhat forwardly placed here. And, if she takes that progression from 3-4, like we would expect, then as long as she's ready off the layoff, this is a horse that I think might get overlooked. So for me, it's Karakatsi is my top pick. I don't see it with Scarabia. That's not one I can get to. But, if you're playing against technical analysis, I don't really think there's a bad pick beyond that.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you're getting in the Caleb Knight headspace, Josh, that means you're going to link together 3 completely impossible to come up with massive prices, and then the 4th leg you're going to toss the chalk, and it's going to cost your life-changing score, right?
Yeah, that's exactly how.
Okay,
That's
okay,
exactly,
cool.
yeah, that's
Just
exactly.
checking. Yeah, just checking. No, I mean, I don't have to reinvent the wheel here. I did write the question. So technical analysis, I think, is lone A, and I probably would be like AC in this race as far as other horses. She should win this. She's got a pace advantage. She arguably could have needed the last out, which was her first off a layoff. And, I think she'll be better here going at the distance that she's better at. And honestly, the QE2 is just, it was a way tougher field than what she's running versus here. And she ran really well in defeat. So, on ground that she, I don't know if she necessarily loved it, but, she's, I can kind of excuse the last where she got beat by, whatever, half length of Plum Alley. And I want, 90% of my money probably going through her. I had a couple of others in here that I did mention. I know you guys mentioned Scarabia. I had a hard time getting to that horse just on the over-8 on turf. The Crystal Cliffs, the Graham Motion horse, we probably have to talk about. I think it's probably somewhat of a bad morning line, but this horse does seem to be finding some form. I've mentioned the Graham Motion barn is just really firing on all cylinders right now. And, I thought she is somewhat of an interesting player in here, which no one's mentioned. Anybody have any love for Crystal Cliffs?
I didn't mention based on the price, but I like when I started thinking about it a little bit, if I really think that technical analysis is going to take as much money as I think she's going to, I mean, the Crystal Cliffs is going to float up to at least 3-1, and I think that's a little bit more palatable. But yeah, I mean, it really is just the second logical, right? Like if you're just gonna, so easy a caveman can do it cap. I mean, that's got to be the second fastest last out buyer in the field, right? Went a mile and 16th, coming right back at a mile and 16th. I saw PDT talking about closers being good at Pimlico turf. I mean, that makes sense for this too, right?
I think actually she's
the fastest.
Yep.
So I don't know, like maybe the the simple betters will keep the price in the too low, but I don't know. I did win that stakes last out, but lost a grade 3 at Monmouth. I mean, I know Monmouth is weird because that was when they had no whips, and then ran in the regret and lost to Harvey's of LaGoyle when Harvey's of LaGoyle was still good, in 2 years ago. So, I mean, horse is lightly raced. I don't know. I mean, it makes sense. I just like if I'm gonna get 9 to 5 on the horse, I'm gonna look elsewhere still.
Can I play devil's advocate?
How about it?
We talked about how the technical analysis has a pace advantage, and the 2 is clearly a closer here. Who challenges technical analysis enough to give Crystal Cliffs a fair shot at that price?
I think that's the question I had with Crystal Cliffs, and the situation has to be that, and again, I don't really know. I haven't watched enough technical analysis as races, but is there a chance she's just a one speed type who sort of needs to go fast and basically sets Crystal Cliffs up all by herself? I don't really know. I would imagine Jose's smart enough to slow her down if he can, but maybe again, yeah, but you are right, Brian. You definitely need the right price here, and the right price is not the morning line. But I will say, between both Friday and Saturday, there are a lot of really, really terrible morning lines, or I am really wrong on my handicapping. One of the two. Probably the latter. Yeah, the same. They could both be true. That's probably more likely, actually. So we've sort of beat this race into the ground. Anybody else have anything else in here?
No. Let's go to the next 5-horse race.
Yeah, so this is what happens when we let Caleb choose which races we do. We end up with just a horrible race selection.
I would have picked a different track and put this on me.
But the problem is, what other track are you going to choose? Considering, so race 8, the grade 2 dinner party, going a mile and a 16th. On the turf. What do I have for notes in here? So you're going to have 2 sort of really short-priced horses in here in both set piece and in a tone. I think those are going to be your, probably take most of the money and both end up quite a bit shorter than where they are. Does the drop get it done for either of these two, given the fact that neither one's won in a little bit of time? And I don't know. I mean, obviously they're both coming out of the Maker's Mark Mile, which was I would assume, a better race than this, but is the drop here alone enough for either one of these two to get it done? Bri?
No.
No?
No. That's all I
No.
got. That's all I got.
I got.
I've got a horse that I like. So, yeah, I don't like either one of those horses.
Okay. We'll loop back to you. Caleb?
I think a towing gets it done. I think this is a horse that's really been in improved and been in good form lately. Has ran respectable races in each of his last couple against Grade 1 company, and I think the drop here. I think Irad getting up, a mile or a mile and 16 should be just fine. I like a tone in here. I don't like set piece. That last race I thought was pretty bad by set piece. This is a one-run closer that's supposed to have just an unbelievably strong late kick. And just, boy, did he look one-paced in the Maker's Mark Mile. I mean, maybe he sat too close to the pace. I don't know what the game plan was there, but it just seems like in his last three that maybe he's just not as good as he was earlier in last year. Maybe he's never been that good. I mean, maybe he can only win at Churchill and Turfway, I guess. But, I don't really know what the story was. But for me, I don't want to bet set piece, especially 8-5. But I would be willing to go to a tone at 5-2.
I hate set piece in this spot. I kind of agree with you, Caleb. I mean, like, that horse just got completely blown out. And I was on set piece in that Maker's Mark Mile. I liked set piece in that spot, and just like, I don't know, the horse hasn't been the same since coming back this year, or even late Saratoga when the last three starts. The horse, I tried to beat the horse so many times, couldn't get around her or him. I just have no desire to bet set piece at 8-5. That 100 buyer is got to be the fakest 100 buyer I've ever seen. But I was a little interested, obviously, in the 6 a tone. I thought made a ton of sense. But if you scroll up a little bit, Mark, to the 2 horse Nova Soul, I don't know. I was a little interested in Nova Soul here. Came won a off the turf race on the synthetic at GP, first time here in the United States. Then ran a nice race in the Pan American and came third to Gufo and Aban, who Gufo would probably be 1-9 in this spot. Aban, who knows? So I don't know. I just kind of looking at ran a really, really nice race against much tougher in this spot against, now has to beat the ghost of set piece and, a Mike Maker horse that, I mean, I don't know, who knows what this Mike Maker horse is. I'll take 6-1 on this and use both the 2 and the 6 equally in this spot.
Man, how is it we're going to have another horse race with 7 horses and we're all going to be on a different horse? This is great. I'm just...
What do you got, Brian? What do you got?
I think it's funny, set piece has 9 career wins, and 5 of those are in the state of Kentucky that I see. There might be more. Last I checked, Pimlico is not in Kentucky. Maybe I'm wrong, but you can have that horse. I thought Josh's 2 is very interesting, mostly because it's the unknown. The Pan American, that G2 effort was nice, although it was at 12 furlongs. And then the first race that we have, or that I have, in January at 8.5 furlongs, it was a nice, fair effort, granted optional claiming race, So for me, I landed on the 4 Beacon Hill. I thought Beacon Hill was interesting here. Last out, had almost 6 months off, came back to a nice second place finish there. Nice pace to it. It was only an allowance for 130, but after 6 months off, that's a good spot. And for what I'm looking at with the run style, that this horse doesn't need that much help, might be able to get it done on his own. Joel's aboard here. It's always a good thing. last year the horse was in the money like 90% of the time. 1-for-1 at Pimlico, and obviously that 130 allowance was a prep for this, and here we are. So, with the questions about set piece and a tone, I will gladly take what will probably be the fourth choice on the board here.
Yeah, I sort of ended up. This is a race where you're going to have two probably short-priced favorites, and I dislike them both. I think Road Warrior kind of summed it up correctly in that he really hates turf races or turf. Yeah, sorry, he really hates turf routes, but he hates this race, and I think that was my feeling as well. And I'm going to sort of spread and try to get around the two probably short-priced favorites. I ended up with Tango Tango Tango, a little Nova Soul. A little bit of Brian's Beacon Hill, and a little bit of the 5 English B. I think any of those four, I just sort of, I have enough, I can poke enough holes in the two favorites who are both going to be short. I'll get a massive amount of value by trying to get around them. So I think I'm just going to toss them and be a little spready here and kind of, get more aggressively skinnier in other parts of the sequence. And I don't have any great case to sell any of those 4 horses I mentioned. They're just not the 2 horses in here that are going to be short that I absolutely despise.
The funny thing is, I landed on Beacon Hill, and on the optics, Beacon Hill does not look good. It's amazing how that works out. But on the grid, Beacon Hill made a lot of sense. So I went by the grid, not the plot here.
I like Beacon Hill too, Brian. He's like one of my top 2 or 3.
Yeah. There's a lot of horses in here with just some really suspect form, and I think this is a race that is going to be about like a 2-horse race. And yeah, I think you can spot play around it. So, anybody else have anything else they want to talk about in here? David Baristas mentioned the little Tango 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 as well. He's won 2
I
in
like
a
that
row.
horse, but I'm afraid he's going to bounce. That last race was
huge. Yeah,
he's wheeling back on 2.5 less than 3 weeks of rest. New jock. I mean, well, not new, but not Pratt. So
why isn't Pratt aboard? He has no mount this race
because he's suspended.
Oh yeah, he is suspended.
Oh, that's right. I thought him and Brad Cox were both going to start Monday. You're right.
No, there's sort of an interesting take when you look at this card. Pratt was ridden a lot of horses on this entire card. He chose to be suspended on Saturday to start his suspension on Preakness Day. You'd have to assume that every horse that he was on Preakness Day, he just didn't think was that good, and therefore was okay to start a suspension then, when he could have chosen some other 3-day window that wasn't across a major racing day. So, yeah.
Unless he just really didn't want to be bothered with the redhead stepchild of the graded stakes days.
I mean, that could be it too. Maybe he just didn't want to go to pinball. Just wanted a relaxing weekend on a big weekend off. I don't know the logic, but it does seem a little interesting that there are a number of good looking horses that he would normally take a lot of money on that he's not riding. So cool. Let's head on to race 12, the turf sprint.
Oh shit.
Did you screw up the race order again, Bri?
No, I just really like the horse in the 9th.
Yeah, I thought we were doing the 9th race.
Oh, we're doing the chick line too? Sure.
I didn't even cap the turf sprint, so it's fine.
You don't need to cap it. I think Wheeling Springs is going to win. I like the 7.
Yeah.
The end. Go ahead, Josh.
Oh no, I thought the 9th, the chick line. Caleb has capped the chick line.
I have capped the chick line.
He hasn't capped the turf sprint at 12.
I'm so confused though. Which race are we doing now?
We're doing the chick line.
I was just trying to get Wheeling Springs in there. Since nobody else is gonna go. I like John Alexander Ortiz. John Ortiz's barn has been really well. This horse is coming in from an Oak Lawn Park meet that was really nice. Irad comes aboard, so obviously first time on the horse, but this horse is 3 for 3 in the last 3 starts. Cogburn, who's also entered here, is going to be a short price. Wheeling Springs did beat last time. It's just one of those horses where there's probably a lot to like about the run style. There's a lot to like about the upside and how the Ortiz barn is firing at like 20%. So, I thought 4-1 in the morning line was a bit much. I'll let Mark take the 5 at 2-1, but I'm going to go 7.
I did not take the 5. So
You know who did take the 5?
Oh, how about it, Josh?
I haven't decided what I'm doing here yet. If I want a speed horse, I think the 5's the horse I want. I think 5 will probably end up being the speed of the speed in this spot. So I have the 5 written down as a question mark. I hate doing that on a horse that's going to be 2-1 co-favorite, if not favorite. My
Optics doesn't look at breeding Murphy. Sorry, Josh.
my eyes actually kind of went. If you scroll down one to the 6, Chasing Time. Chasing Time started out obviously sprinting like most 2-year-olds do, and ran some decent races off the gate, and eventually broke his maiden sprinting. Then ran a race at Oak Lawn. Seemed to kind of just keep on improving. And then they decided they got Derby fever. They ran in the Rebel and the Archie Derby, and the horse just kind of. I don't think the horse wanted to go that long. So they're cutting the horse back. They're cutting the horse way back, and I think that's what this horse wants to do. And I think that the horse was showing some nice steady progression until the Derby fever kicks in. And I thought that this horse makes a little bit of sense here with the 2 speed balls up front, sitting mid pack, and kicking on late. Steve Asmussen in the sprinting race, this is what he does, and I kind of, like I said, I kind of like this. He's getting a ton of class relief here. We're going to be going against way easier. So 12-1 looked like a great price on this horse. Once again, I kind of just tried to zig. I really do like the 5 in this spot. But for intents and purposes, if you're playing a tournament or stable duel or something, I think you should maybe look at the 6 here. I think you'll get some good value here out of the 6.
Objection, Your Honor.
What is that?
What does the 6 go off at? 5-1. You're gonna have
the 6 is going to be.
You're gonna have every 2% owner in the country on Preakness Stakes.
Oh, it's a My Racehorse horse. Fuck, I didn't even see that.
So you said value. I saw My Racehorse. I had to throw an objection. I'm sorry.
Well, then I might be buying my old homestead if he's only doing 1. So
it was one of those things, and I saw where you're going with it. And if it wasn't for My Racehorse, I could agree with you completely. But this horse is going to take such stupid money because the horse was on the Derby trail. They're going to say, oh look, this horse lost by 15 3/4 in the Arkansas Derby to Cyberknife, who lost the Kentucky Derby by 40. So Chasing Time was only 60 lengths worse than the Kentucky Derby winner. We got to bet him. Sorry. That's a good catch. I was like, why the fuck are they running this horse, like going from that straight to the Rebel, and then like didn't really run that great in the Rebel, and like, hey, let's stretch the horse out even more in the Archie Derby. Not this time can basically do what he wants right now. You got him stretching out. I don't think that it's going to be a huge issue if they wanted to keep going mile and 16th, but. With how promising the horse kind of started out, I think sprinting and Steve Asmussen, those connections. I thought sprinting makes sense for this horse. So I was really interested in the cutback, but yeah, with the My Racehorse mob, I don't know if I'm gonna get the price I need for the 6. I got a question for Mark. Mark, any interest in Caleb here?
It took me a minute.
I have a question.
Scroll up one horse, Mark.
Oh, sorry, I'm a little slow. Okay, yeah, I got it. No, I have no interest in the kid Josh. Caleb here. No. But I will pass it over to Caleb. Caleb, what do you like here?
Yeah, for me, I kind of agree with Josh again to some extent. I do like Old Homestead in this race. If the track is playing towards speed, that'll be probably a single for me. But if the track's playing fair, I think there's a lot of speed in here, and I would look for a more off the pace runner. I think Josh's 6 makes some sense, but he does seem to really be going backwards in his form cycle. Maybe the cutback wakes him up, but I decided to go for a different off the pace horse who isn't really that much off the pace, but the number 2, Lightning Larry. This is a horse that has done most of his work down at Gulfstream in Tampa. but really is, only won one poor race out of 9 or 8 career starts, honestly. He's shows up pretty much every time. He's not a horse that really backs up wins with subsequent wins. So he did throw a second last time out. So if judging by that pattern, I mean, it stands to reason he might be sitting on a good race here. And looking at time for him, this horse really isn't that much slower. He's moved forward in each of his last 4 starts. I always like to cut back from 7 to 6, a distance this horse clearly doesn't mind. So, I think Chantel's got a ride. She has a trip she needs to work out, because this is a horse that wants to be, somewhat forward, even though he does pass other horses. But I think that this is probably the off the pace runner I have some interest in.
You don't think they're putting Chantel aboard to go?
I don't think so, but I mean, we'll see. Elgato and Chantel, done a lot of good work in Florida, so I have some trust.
So let me get this straight. Caleb likes a Delta shipper, and we have a 9-horse field, and we're all going to end up on different horses, huh?
Sounds
Interesting. So I landed on one that nobody's talked about yet, and that's the 9 Little. We lost Caleb again. I end up on the 9 Little Vic. You're getting Paco Lopez up here, Juan Avila. This is a horse that can be forwardly placed. Again, this is a horse that, much like the 6, they got Derby fever. They tried to stretch this one out. This horse does not want to go that far, does not want to go a mile and 16th or a mile and 1/8. They then cut the horse back, and the time form figure off that 6 furlong race at Monmouth absolutely jumps off the paper at you. He's like 10 points higher than everybody else in the field. It's like Murphy's going to correct me here in a second, but it's like 8 points higher than everybody else in the field or something. That figure came back absolutely huge. This is a horse who does not need the lead, proved last out that he can pass horses. Paco's going to have him aggressively placed outside off the 5, and he's going to get first run at the 5 if the 5 gets a little tired in the stretch. I think that, Little Vic here is probably going to be my lone A in this spot, and I'll have some other horses sort of underneath or as Bs, but I really like Little Vic. I think they've sort of finally gotten this one back to doing what he wants to do. If you cross out the Sam F. Davis and the optional 75, his form suddenly brightens a ton with a consistently improving pattern. And, his pedigree says this is kind of what he wants to do. So, no, I really like Little Vic quite a lot in the spot.
I took crap from Murphy for taking an Archie bred here, but I'm going to catch you slipping for a second time, because you always told me that you didn't trust the speed figures from Monmouth.
This is
true. I'm being this guy because I'm not drinking tonight, so I'm actually staying on top of my game. But it's interesting that you're gonna hang your hat on the speed figures from Monmouth from that race, right? It wasn't a big day or anything, so it's just, to me, it's curious.
No. My assumption was, it's partially the speed figure, but partially also intent. I would imagine that is get this horse a tightener locally, and then point him for a bigger stakes race, which is what they're doing here. And, Juan Avila probably going, okay, we took the shot. We tried to stretch this one out. This is not a Derby horse. We know we have a talented horse, though. What does this one want to do? Let's get a race into him at a shorter sprint distance. Oh, he really freaked and performed well. Okay, let's find him mistakes to run in. I like the intent. I like how they're sort of managing this horse. Horses never miss the exact at this distance. I do. You do have a very valid point there. Do you trust that Monmouth figure? Maybe not. But it seems like I trust Monmouth figures less when they ship to like Saratoga than I do necessarily when they're shipping to Pimlico. Consider we've
no one had any interest in this one, huh?
Oh, Cogburn.
Cogburn, no. Yeah. I mean, Cogburn makes some sense, but every metric I'm looking at, he's a little bit too a little too slow. I didn't really see an excuse for him in that Oaklawn race, and he got beat fair and square by Wheeling Springs. So I don't know what's changed since that race that would move him up. And he's kind of horse that I'm kind of okay tossing, because I feel like I know that Wheeling Springs is a better horse in this situation. If that makes sense.
No, that makes sense.
Are we doing race 12 or are we skipping race 12?
Race 12 was not on the list that you gave us.
No.
Damn it. I think Caleb made the list, and I thought, okay. I saw Turf Sprint.
Well, Caleb's not here. Who did you like in race 12?
I ended up on the 2 in race 12.
Yeah,
I ended Caratori in that race. I think Caratori makes an absolute ton of sense. I just read the sheet, so that's my bad. But I thought Caratori made a lot of sense, and it sort of feels like a race that's Caratori and then a huge gap to everyone else, considering Caratori is the one real turf sprinter in that race, and everybody else is sort of I don't know. There's a lot of horses that you look at and you're like, why are you here? What are you doing in this race? So
yeah. I mean, when I first looked at this race. I thought this is Caratari's race to lose. I was a little interested in 2 other horses, but I just don't think I'm going to be able to bring myself to use either of them. The 6 Smoke and Jay. Um, I think Smoke and Jay might just want 6 furlongs. I think he might want a little bit longer. But 4 years old this year. So I still has a little bit of room for growth. I mean, I know, lost to Caratari last time out, but a young horse like this has all the room to improve. So, maybe with a little bit of improvement, the 6 can maybe turn the tables on Caratari, but I don't know. Like I said, I think maybe 5 furlongs might be too sharp for Smoke and Jay. Price dependent play, maybe a tournament play here if I'm looking for something outside of Caratari. The other one is Hollis. I was interested in Hollis a little bit, but
There you go.
I don't know. I mean, the horse has tried sprinting on the turf, a couple times. Looks like about 7 times. But the 2 most recent weren't really anything to like write home about. I mean, if you go back to that fairgrounds race, like that looks good. And then I don't know that Nashville race against Nashville. I mean, just popped a huge fig, but um, I don't know. Like you kind of like squint a little bit and fuzzy up those numbers, and the horse kind of makes a little bit of sense. But I don't know. I really this is kind of like a more of a wild card. You're gonna get maybe 6-1 ish on there, but when Car Tire is going to be super short, and I feel like you're going to have a bunch of other horses in those mid-price ranges between like 4 and 7-1. So I don't know. It's going to be tough to use both Karatari and like the 3rd and 4th choice, which is what it looks like here. So I'll probably end up saying Karatari, but a little interested in those other 2 horses.
got anything in here, Bri?
I like 7 cents. This horse last year had a nice second place finish at Starbucks. And it's just one of those horses that if something happens with Caratari where it isn't a great break or whatever it may be, this horse is just going to be close. It's one of those things. The running or the speed figures some fit. Just leaving the rat race ready for it's one of those things where, if I'm going to try and beat Caratari, I want at least 4-1. And when you look at this horse, why can't this horse win? Right? Caratari may look the best on paper, but nothing in this horse's running line say the horse is coming in out of shape, out of form. And the horse is going from Broberg to Cox. So I mean, the horse is still having the same oats he's been eating for the last 6 months. So it shouldn't be any problem here. And the if Caleb can take a Delta shipper last race, I can definitely take a Houston and Lone Star shipper here.
Yeah, so the only other horse in here that you guys hadn't mentioned that I thought was a little interesting is the 7 Grateful Bread. Again, this is the local horse, 2 for 2 across the circuit. Horse really, likes to get his photo taken. Getting a little older now, maybe he's lost a step, but he seems to be just as absolutely consistent as they get. He's 5 of 10 going the distance. This is a step up in class. This is probably a little better than what he's been running versus the last few. But I thought at a price, he's sort of an interesting little price play on a horse can handle the surface, and this is kind of his trip. So, Caleb, do you have anything in here, or did you not cap this one?
No, I hate everybody.
Okay. So then let's throw it over the Preakness. Mile 3/16 minus your Derby champion, which definitely took some luster off this one. I think the big question in here, and I'll throw it to Caleb, is does Epicenter Bounce in here? Obviously, he just absolutely ran balls out to run second in the Derby. When he was involved in, or sort of sucked along into a stupidly insane pace. And of those involved in the pace, he was the one that held on the best. So Bounce here, any chance?
Yeah, so I don't want to get too far into the weeds talking about different figures and whatever else, but I will kind of say that visually it looked like Epicenter ran a huge race, being the best of all those horses that were in the first half of the field essentially, and finishing on just missing at the end. But looking at the figs, I mean, they didn't come back all that fast. I mean, the time form fig was fine. I mean, 120 is what he got for that Derby race, but that's nothing, overly impressive. I mean, the Thorograph figs, he basically paired his last 3 races with the same race. So it's not like on figures he's some monster standout over the likes of Simplification or Secret Oath or Early Voting. So as far as whether he bounces or not, I mean, this horse has never gone backwards in his career. I mean, he's moved forward or paired up in every start. So I'm not so sure that I'm worried about him going backwards simply because he didn't come back with a huge race on figures, and he is turning around in 2 weeks here. If he loses, I don't think it's going to be necessarily because he reacted to some big top and bounced. I think it may just be that he's a little bit leg weary after having a pretty heavy campaign so far in 2022 here, and maybe catching a fresher horse. So I would say no. I don't think he bounces. If he loses, I think it's just he gets beat by a fresher horse or a pace scenario or something else.
I started looking at disc golf bags as soon as we got to this race because I don't even need to look at the PPs. I mean, I really do not see a way Epicenter loses this race. I mean, I don't know. I think that this is I know everyone's trying to make a case for Early Voting who couldn't even win the Wood, which I mean just says a lot there. And then I guess Mo Donegal came back and ran really well in the Derby, so maybe I shouldn't shit on the Wood too much, but it's still the Wood. You get new shooter Armagnac coming in, and we all know that West Coast horses suck. I mean, the only horse in here that gives this race any intrigue is going to be the 4 Secret Oath, and I just think that Secret Oath is in over her head in this spot versus Epicenter, who ran his eyeballs out last time out. I guess is that what you're hoping for, that the horse isn't going to fire fresh, but then you'll probably have to say the same thing for Secret Oath, also come back on the 2 weeks rest. And then I guess you look at another shooter, and what you're going to take 7-2 on the runner up in the Wood to try and come in and beat the horse that might have run the best losing effort in a Derby in recent memory. So I don't know. I have a hard time making a case for anybody else outside of Epicenter. I wish that there was somebody else in here, maybe like even Mo Donegal. I think would have even made this race a little bit more interesting, even though I know he's a deep closer. Even the Derby horse. I don't even remember who won the fucking Derby at this point. I don't know. I think I've liked Epicenter in every single one of his starts this year. So I don't see a reason for that to change here in what I think is a pretty weak Preakness outside of the Secret Oath showing up in here. So
sorry.
No, go ahead. My disc golf brother.
I got my bag. I'm going to open it up later. I'll send you pictures. But
nice.
I kind of agree with Josh here. The Derby was what it was. We had that bumping going on. So I really like Essential Quality here. I think Essential Quality is going to come in here in the best form. Nobody wants to cut me off. So I'm still living in 2021 because this race sucks.
I was going to see how long you're going to go with Essential Quality.
I was going to keep going.
I was just going to let it roll. I was enjoying it. I was going to let it go.
Because that was a Preakness that excited me, right? That was a good field. And here, every time I see Epicenter, I've liked Epicenter for, it made a lot of sense. The horse ran huge, but it's one of those things where 2 weeks coming back, I don't want to start that debate because God, Twitter beat that donkey. But it's one of those things where we've seen horses run huge efforts. We've seen Bob Baffert horses run Triple Crown efforts with huge speed figures in the Derby, and then come back to the Preakness and run fine. Has Epicenter ran a lot lately? Yes, but Epicenter had a month and a half off after the Louisiana Derby, had 5 weeks off after the Risen Star. This horse has ran a lot, but I think being in shape or being fit and in form, this horse is right there. I mean, if Lucas is going to bring a filly back here on 2 weeks, then there's no reason to question why Asmussen's putting Epicenter here. With that being said, because Epicenter is the chalk, and I know Mark's going to use Epicenter defensively, I want to talk about a price horse, because if early voting is going to take the money because early voting got tired in the wood and couldn't finish, and early voting is going to be, I don't even have the, hold on. Early voting is 7-2 in the morning line, and couldn't finish the wood, lost to Mo Donegal. Then why do we not talk about the horse that finished third in the wood at a 20-1 morning line? Skippy Longstocking. It sounds crazy. I just like the horse's name. Fourth in an optional claimer at Gulfstream Park. Won an optional claimer at Gulfstream Park, and then Safi said, "Hey, let's see what we got. Let's just throw this horse in the wood and see what happens." For Safi to ship from down in California, or Gulfstream Park, California, idiot, to Aqueduct for one race, they were trying to get points. They were trying to get into the Derby, right, or whatever they were doing. And it's interesting to me that now the horse is at Pimlico. So was this the intention all along after the wood? Have they been sitting there looking at this saying, we're going to come back, we're going to go to Pimlico, we're going to see what happens? And the workout pattern has been really good. This horse has been off since April 9th. All these other horses were tested last out. Do I think Skippy Longstocking is the best horse in the race? I do not. I just think at the price that this horse is going to be with the run style, if Epicenter does get tired, if Secret Oath doesn't have that turn of foot in the turn, or in the turn, or that we're accustomed to seeing, then I think it could set up for Skippy Longstocking to be there and kind of win by default.
Yeah, Brian, I believe it's we're both on the same price horse, Brian, so there's zero chance that horse can win. But no, I very much the same exact thought process you had on Skippy Longstockings. I thought the horse made a ton of sense. I think the line, I think, is just bad. I think the horse probably takes a little bit of money. I realized the horse needs to take another step forward. Pace dynamics need to be the same. But, I think if you take, this sort of thought process that Jimmy kind of threw this up and said, do you think that the Derby pace took a toll on the horses coming back to the Preakness? If you have the mindset that maybe it did, maybe it softened them up a little, they're not going to bring their A game, and you downgrade some of those horses, some of those Derby horses, and then you look at the Chad horse and you say, okay, this Chad's horse stopped at shorter and is getting a little bit more distance here. You start getting in that mindset of, geez, I want somebody else. I want sort of an outsider. And I think Skippy Longstockings makes a lot of sense as that outsider. And a very oddly campaigned horse for Safi. You don't see very many Safi horses that were as slowly brought along as this horse was. And I don't really know why. Maybe it's just the horse is a late developing 3-year-old, just seeming to get good now. But this horse is just kind of slowly ground and got a little bit better. And this is much more of a Bill Mott style pattern than a Safi Joseph style pattern.
So I've got a comment to chat real quick, since Murphy's, throwing up thoroughgraphs here. If everybody's going to say Epicenter is going to bounce because the effort in the Kentucky Derby, the two here, Creative Minister, ran a huge number last out 2 weeks ago. So for the same argument you could have against Epicenter here, saying that the effort 2 weeks ago was too much, ran a career top, and now the Creative Minister is doing the exact same thing, and has Brian Hernandez Jr. aboard? No, thanks. That's just
that was sort of my peak, right?
What's that?
I said fuck Kenny McPeak, right?
Right.
He only wins at 90-1 when nobody else has him.
Exactly. Other than that, he doesn't win it like 9-1. That's not a Kenny McPeak move.
Yeah, I mean, I sort of thought the same thing with Creative Minister. It seems like the kind of horse who you don't see horses take 4 big step forwards in a row. Like this one has taken 3 already and needs an equally big step forward to those first 3 in the next race to be a player here. I mean, maybe, but won't be at any of my tickets.
Yeah, me neither. I will say I listened to the David Aragona and Craig Milkowski for the time forecast for this race. And Craig said when he first did the figs for Derby Day that this race by Creative Minister came back like incredibly fast, like a 120 on time for him. So then he didn't feel good about that. The track was kind of drying out throughout the day. They had some rain. So he didn't break the race out. He redid the entire day with some different variants and ended up at the fig that it is now, which I think is like a 108, which is probably more in line with, Bayer and a few other areas as well. But yeah, I mean, I just can't take a horse that I think is more likely to go backwards than take the necessary step forwards, going from a non-winner of 1 allowance to a grade 1. But, if you like him, then you'll get paid, but he's not for me. I guess I didn't say who I actually did like.
Yeah, you never did.
I do like Epicenter. I mean, he's the horse to beat without a doubt, right? Yeah. And the only other horse I would kind of look at would be Secret Oath. And I'm not against Epicenter, but I may do something like an Epicenter over Secret Oath, over Skippy Longstocking, kind of a try. I do kind of like Brian's and yours too, Mark, Baum in here. I don't think Skippy Longstocking can win, but that's the horse that I think might get 3rd, maybe 4th, something like that. Secret Oath, though, is the horse that I think, if I was going to use like a C in this race, it might be Secret Oath on the win side, just because I thought she ran a great race in the Oaks. I mean, if you kind of throw out the Arkansas Derby where she had a terrible ride by Luis Contreras and got into some trouble, and she just didn't have things go the way she needed to that day. Her form's outstanding, against the Phillies, but nevertheless outstanding. And I think from a figs pattern perspective, I mean, whether you can say the Arkansas Derby was a product of a bad trip or a bad ride, or maybe just a slight bounce off of her big effort in the Honeybee, she paired right back up in the Kentucky Oaks, and I think she takes a step forward here. So I think she's sitting on a big race and will actually move forward despite the short rest. So, she does get some weight here, and how much that matters to you is, up to you, I suppose. But for me, I just think she's going to move forward off that race. Saya stays on board, who gave her a great ride last time out. And I don't think she's as pace dependent as other people would lead you on to believe. I don't think she's so one-dimensional, deep closer. I mean, in most of her races, she's been within a length of the leader at the second call. I mean, in 7 of her last 8, she's kind of been there. So for me, I mean, I don't think she's so, pace dependent that she's going to be too far out of the picture. So she's the only horse I think might give Epicenter a real run for the money. I've tried to love early voting, but the wood bothers me a little bit. He should have won that race. I kind of have some distance questions about him.
How would you feel if you spent $150,000 and your claim to fame is you beat Command Performance and now you're going to go running their Preakness at 50-1? I mean, I know Josh and Mark love Command Performance, but
no, I don't. No, just don't.
Is this just?
I've already spent like 10 more minutes on this race than I think we needed to, because I mean, I really think it's like, I think Caleb basically said it best. It's like Epicenter, and then, hey, Secret Oath is a C. And if you like, I don't know, are feeling like wasting money like Mark. So, although Mark will probably use early voting as a B, just in case.
Epicenter is a C.
No.
No, Mark will have Epicenter as an A, and then early voting and Secret Oath is B's, and then probably Creative Minister and Simplification and the 9 horses.
Happy Jack. Happy Jack will make his tickets too.
I'm gonna have Caleb just start making my tickets for me now.
Hey, what's the note of Happy Jack right there? Okay, slow in a stride. You know what, you guys? I've talked about optics, and Emily or whoever makes the notes. You guys have got to look at the notes on Happy Jack. You know what? I think I could share it. Slow out of the gate. Scared.
Scared. They actually put scared in there.
Scared is the optics note for that horse in the Kentucky Derby.
I was laughing at the amount, like I heard a lot of people kind of recounting the Derby, and just like talking, and like the amount of people that thought it was fucking Happy Jack coming up the rail and not the 21, because the
You
21
could only see the two,
weird,
right?
yeah, because they
You
see
see
the
the two,
two,
yeah.
and the 21 silks are like, I think they're like gray or something, right? Like a really light gray, or like, I don't know. So people saw it and they're like, oh my god, is that Happy Jack? And then it's just funny, like, to think like, oh shit, I'm gonna get boomed by the 75-1 horse, and instead you're getting boomed by a fucking 80-1 horse. So
Can we just take a moment to realize that Happy Jack went off at 23-1 in the Kentucky Derby?
oh, it's 23-1. He was 23-1.
Yeah.
That might
thought
be
he was 80-1.
the biggest underlay. What is it with
No.
Jack horses? Any horse with Jack in their name? Because my boy
Yeah,
Jack
my
was the
boy
other one,
Jack
isn't it?
was
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
David Barista bringing up what pace scenario doesn't favor Epicenter. I mean, he, with that blazing pace, he almost still won. Like, it took a fucking miracle for him to lose. So I really
think-
don't know. Like, I mean, maybe if he gets out on the front end and tries the wire and he goes with the speed and doesn't rate off of it, maybe that doesn't favor him. But I just don't see that happening here.
The only pace scenario I can see that really hurts him is that if early voting walks on the front end and no one presses early voting, and that would and they try to rate Epicenter behind a really slow pace. That would be the only way I could see a pace that would be detrimental to him. Other than that, obviously, and not to use a weird reference, but he's a little bit like a Serengeti Empress, a horse that kind of, I think, can go just about as fast as you want to go on the front end and still hold on, and just sort of outgut other horses. And I think he can also go, more normal fractions. I worry about them going super slow.
Well, with Irad on a speed horse, anything's possible, right?
This is sure. Anybody else have anything else in here?
Chirp.
Yeah.
Chirp.
A little bit of housekeeping. There is, if you have not signed up for an AM wager account, there's a link in our description. They have a new bet 300, get 300. So if you're somebody that looks at TVG and you're like, oh, I like my money back specials, well, you can sign up for an AM wager account and get effectively $300 worth of money back specials on anything you want. Platform that I use, everybody else I think on here has an account with them, except for Josh because he lives in a wrong state. But take a look at that. If you are looking for an ADW, might as well max out all your bonuses. And now that you're going to get a couple tracks that AM Wager has access to, you might as well do it at the Preakness in the Belmont. And it definitely helps us out if you do click the link. That's all I got. Anybody else got anything else? I guess the only notes that I had would be, where are people at this week? Caleb, I know you're probably a million places like normal.
Yeah, I got some stuff out already this week for HRN. Me and Capone walk through the Preakness field and give out some plays there, plus just a little Black-Eyed Susan Preakness double. I also had some content out with Gino, Matt, and Barry the Sniper from Twitter. We did like another fun fantasy draft of the Preakness and Black-Eyed Susan fields. Similar to how we did for the Derby, so that's always fun. And then, that's about it. I might do a little content tomorrow for, Bet Karma or whatever, but otherwise, I'll probably just be doing some light betting. I probably won't even bet that much this week just because of how disappointed I am in these cards. But
Mark, what do you think? What do you think about tossing up a tournament again this week? Is Pimlico on horse tourneys or no?
Pimlico is on horse tourneys. The problem, we could do a Discord one. I had a couple of people ask me. My only concern is a lot of big money Pimlico ones that myself and a couple of other of our regulars like Sheldon and maybe even Brian are probably going to be chasing. And I just wonder, is it going to take away a lot of people from the Discord one? We could put up a $25 or $50 one for the group. I know a couple of people were asking me about it earlier in chat today, so I'll probably try to get something together. But I'll probably be focusing on, there's a $350 live on Saturday. There's also a couple of features on Friday and Saturday at lower price points, but those sort of big money, high entry tournaments that I like to tend to chase after.
All right, yeah, we'll look tomorrow. I'm off tomorrow, so I'll take a look. I don't know what I'm doing this weekend. I'll probably be playing a lot of League and disc golf. That's kind of what I've done all week. So
I'm hoping my mid range gets here so I can play with it on
yeah,
Saturday or
it should.
Sunday.
I sent it priority, so and I think USPS
nice.
is
That'll
pretty
get
good
it.
out to you, so you should probably get it on Friday.
Nice.
Oh, Ryan getting to Vegas.
Ryan,
Nice.
going to
Nice.
Vegas. Nice.
Actually, it's funny, Ryan. I was talking with Mark about this. We were trying to figure out a weekend to go. You know what? Preakness weekend. Like, if Preakness was like good racing, it would be, I think, the perfect weekend to go. But we were talking about going up for like a big racing weekend that basically isn't the Derby or isn't Breeders' Cup. Just because those two, I feel like, are so big that like you want to be at home, like to have all your shit together. But like something like even like Belmont or
Travers.
Travers, yeah, I think actually Travers might be good because from what Mark says, Travers at the track is fucking awful.
It's a
So
nightmare.
I think Travers might actually be a good one to just to go to fly into Vegas for the weekend and just fucking DJ in the Aria Sportsbook all day. So, but yeah, that's kind of something. No, the 45-minute flight, that's the dream. I told my wife like it would be nice not to retire to Vegas or live by Vegas, but be like a 4 or 5 hour drive from Vegas. I think that's perfect.
Phoenix.
Phoenix.
Yeah.
I love, dude. I liked my time in Phoenix. I went there. I visited some friends out there. It's nice.
Reno?
The heat would kill my wife. So that's kind of that's kind of the limiting factor because everything about 5 hours from Vegas is hot unless it's like LA. You know, then I mean, not that it's not
And
hot, but
LA
it's
gets hot too.
but yeah, but yeah, no. I might look at horse tourneys. I might play in one of like the 175s or I think there's like $179 featured or something tomorrow. And then I know they have the Express Bet one. I think they have another one tomorrow as well, feeder into Saturday. But I don't know. I'll probably be pretty light this weekend too. Like Caleb said, I don't think there's too much I'm gonna look at. But I do have a little cash in my EW now, so maybe I'll play a little bit more than I thought.
What are you planning on, Bry? Anything?
I'm just going to give out my picks. I'm going to play a couple exactas with the chalk. You can catch me at Equibase. Probably write a couple articles, some betting columns, something like that.
Also on amwager.com.
Amwager.com.
Yeah, that's where you can find some of Ellis's articles. So.
No, I'm just joking. If you guys aren't familiar with it, if I wear the hat, I pretend to be Ellis. And Mark should have the hat because he loves chalk too.
Dude, if you played Belmont today and you like chalk, you had a good day.
Pick 5 paid less than a carton of smokes.
I paid more than a carton of smokes. It paid 67 or something.
Carton of smokes is $75.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Look at it. Next time you're in the gas station, look at it. I looked at it today. I was like, holy shit.
Wow. Damn. So
I'm glad.
Well, yeah, seriously. Alrighty, everyone. I think that is it for us. Good luck this weekend. And yeah, you'll see us around Discord, I'm sure.